Who is Neagley in Reacher? Maria Sten's character explained. Warning, spoiler warning. This video discusses Frances Neagley's history in Reacher, her relationship with Jack Reacher, her military background, and the upcoming Neagley spin-off. If there is one character in Reacher who consistently proves she can keep up with Jack Reacher, it's Frances Neagley. Played by Maria Sten, Neagley has become one of the most popular characters in the series. She isn't simply Reacher's friend or occasional partner. She's one of the few people he completely trusts. But who exactly is Neagley? Where did she meet Reacher? Why does Reacher trust her so much? And how did she go from serving alongside him in the military to becoming a private investigator? Let's break down her story. 1. Who is Frances Neagley? Frances Neagley is a former U.S. Army Master Sergeant who served alongside Jack Reacher in the 110th Special Investigations Unit. The 110th was an elite investigative unit created by Reacher during his military career. Neagley was one of the people Reacher personally selected to join it. That immediately tells us something important about their relationship. Reacher doesn't trust many people. He's extremely independent and usually prefers working alone. But Neagley is different. She's one of the very few people he knows he can call when he needs help. Prime Video describes her as one of Reacher's closest confidants and someone who arguably knows him better than almost anyone else. 2. How did Neagley meet Reacher? Neagley and Reacher met during their military careers. They worked together in the 110th and developed a strong professional relationship. Their connection isn't based on romance, it's based on trust. They understand each other. Both are highly trained investigators. Both are extremely capable in dangerous situations. And both are willing to operate outside normal rules when they believe justice requires it. That's why their partnership works so well. Reacher doesn't need to explain every decision to Neagley. She usually understands what he's thinking. And when Reacher needs someone he can depend on, Neagley is often the person he calls. 3. Why does Reacher trust Neagley? This is probably the most important part of her character. Reacher lives a solitary life. He doesn't maintain a permanent home. He doesn't like attachments. And he rarely allows people to get too close. But Neagley is one of the exceptions. Their military history gives them something that Reacher rarely has with other people: shared experience. They've already been through dangerous situations together. They know each other's abilities. They know each other's weaknesses. And they know they can depend on one another when things become violent. That trust becomes particularly obvious in Season 2, when members of their old 110th unit begin turning up dead. Neagley and Reacher immediately start investigating. The case becomes personal because these aren't random victims, they're people they served with. 4. What makes Neagley so good at her job? Neagley isn't simply there because she's Reacher's friend. She's extremely capable herself. She's an investigator. She's an experienced military operative. She's a skilled tracker, and she can handle herself in a fight. That makes her one of the few characters who can operate alongside Reacher without constantly needing protection. In fact, there are situations where Neagley can be just as useful as Reacher. She can investigate independently, she can follow leads, she can gather information. And when the situation turns violent, she isn't afraid to get involved. That's an important reason audiences have responded so strongly to her character. Neagley doesn't exist just to support Reacher. She has her own skills and her own identity. 5. What is Neagley's relationship with Reacher? Their relationship is one of the most unusual friendships in the series. There's very little unnecessary emotion between them. They don't constantly talk about how much they care about each other. Instead, their friendship is shown through action. If Reacher calls, Neagley answers. If Neagley needs help, Reacher shows up. They trust each other without needing to say it, and that makes their relationship feel believable. They're essentially two people who have spent years learning exactly what the other person is capable of. Their friendship is also different from many of Reacher's relationships with women, because it isn't primarily romantic. It's built around loyalty, respect, and shared history. 6. Why is Neagley different from other Reacher characters? One reason Neagley stands out is that she has remained important across multiple seasons. The television series expanded her role considerably compared with the original Lee Child books. She became a reoccurring character who could return whenever Reacher needed someone from his past. And audiences responded to that. Instead of being just another temporary ally, Neagley became part of the larger world around Reacher. She's essentially the person who proves that Reacher isn't completely alone. He may live like a lone wolf, but he still has a small circle of people he trusts. Neagley is arguably the most important person in that circle. 7. What happened to Neagley in Season 2? Season 2 gives Neagley one of her biggest roles. When members of the 110th Special Investigations Unit start dying, Reacher begins investigating. Neagley quickly becomes involved. The case takes the two of them back into their military history and forces them to confront what happened to their old team. This season demonstrates just how effective they are together. They don't need a lot of explanation. They divide responsibilities naturally. And when the investigation becomes dangerous, both are willing to take risks. Their shared history makes the mystery much more personal than the cases Reacher normally encounters. 8. What about Season 3? Neagley also returns in Season 3. Although she isn't the central character throughout the entire season, she becomes important when Reacher needs assistance when the situation becomes more complicated. Once again, the show uses her as someone Reacher can rely on when the situation becomes more complicated. And that continued presence helped establish something important. Neagley isn't disappearing after one storyline. She's becoming a major part of the Reacher universe. That eventually led Amazon to give her something that very few supporting characters receive: her own show. 9. What is the Neagley spin-off? The character is getting her own Prime Video series simply titled Neagley. The show stars Maria Sten and follows Frances as she works as a private investigator in Chicago. The story begins when she learns that a beloved friend from her past has died in a suspicious accident. Neagley becomes determined to find out what really happened and gets pulled into another dangerous conspiracy. Neagley becomes determined to find out what really happened and gets pulled into another dangerous conspiracy. The spin-off is scheduled to premiere on September 16, 2026, immediately after the Reacher Season 4 finale. That's a major development for the character. Neagley is no longer simply Reacher's trusted partner. She's now the lead of her own action series. 10. Who is Maria Sten? Maria Sten is the actress behind Neagley. The Danish actress has appeared in projects including Channel Zero, The Dream Door, and Swamp Thing before taking on the role of Frances Neagley in Reacher. Her performance has helped make Neagley one of the most recognizable characters in the franchise. Sten brings a very controlled style to the character. Neagley doesn't need to constantly announce how tough she is. Her actions demonstrate it. That fits perfectly with the world of Reacher. Final thoughts. So, who is Neagley and Reacher? She's Frances Neagley, a former Army Master Sergeant, an elite investigator, a private investigator, and one of Jack Reacher's closest friends. But calling her simply Reacher's friend doesn't really do the character justice. Neagley is one of the few people Reacher genuinely trusts. They served together in the 110th Special Investigations Unit. They've faced dangerous situations together. And after leaving the military, both continued working in their own way to uncover the truth and pursue justice. The biggest difference is that Reacher chooses a completely nomadic life, while Neagley has built her own career as a private investigator. Yet whenever their paths cross, the old partnership comes back almost instantly. And now, that partnership has created something even bigger. Neagley is getting her own series. Maria Sten will return as Frances, with the story following her through a dangerous investigation in Chicago. The spin-off is also expected to explore parts of Neagley's personality that Reacher has only hinted at, including her complicated relationship with physical contact and the personal experiences that shaped her. That's important because Neagley has always been more than the person who helps Reacher solve a case. She's a character with her own history, her own trauma, her own skills, and her own reasons for pursuing justice. And that's probably why she became such a fan favorite. Reacher may be the lone wanderer, but Neagley proves that even someone like Reacher needs a person he can trust. And if the upcoming spin-off succeeds, Francis Neagley could eventually become just as important to the Reacher universe as the man whose name started it all. Jack Reacher may work alone, but when he needs someone he can absolutely count on, he calls Neagley.